Hi there guys, I'm just doing a quick video on the new Inst360 Flow Stabilizer. It's quite a good unit. I've been using it quite a bit today, yesterday, and for a little time now. It's quite a good little unit. Has its compact form, or not compact but folded form. It has a gimbal, it has the clamp for the phone, which you then use on the phone. The other thing I found was so useful was that it has a little camera marking on it, so you basically point that to the camera. That was actually quite useful when I looked at it from a point of view doing a 360. You'll understand when you do a 360 with this device on your phone why you need to have that as well, because it tells you to clamp it, but you've got to make sure that it's clamped the right way. You can see by the diagram because it actually puts a little image down the thing where it needs to put the actual clamp. But anyway, this device is used. Well, it could be used for a few things. It's a stabilizing gimbal, handheld, or as I've got it in here, just a feed log. It's sitting on a tripod. The other thing I've got on it is the light. The light sits up on the top here. Oh, you can't see that, but it's on the top of the device. So on top of the clamp, in the back of the clamp, there's a little notch in it. I'm not sure whether you can see that, but there's a little notch in it. The light clamp seems to clamp onto that, and naturally then plugs into the back of the gimbal. So therefore, you've got a light. It actually has a cool light and a warm light, and also then has different varying degrees of light. Again, I don't tend to use that very often because I don't do a lot of vlogging, but I thought that was quite useful, and it's useful in this because it actually puts a little bit more light onto my face. You can see a little bit of a light in my glasses. But anyway, I've been using it a lot of the time for photographs. I did use it for Facebook, but live streaming through Facebook, not through the gimbal or through the application. There is a live option here. I haven't worked it out properly yet, but I will do soon and run it through there. But at this stage, I ran it Facebook Live directly from Facebook using the gimbal just to steady the thing so I could do a live view. It worked quite well. I think it was the last time, or the actual time that I used it was in flooding time, when I was using it to show the flood waters and so on. But anyway, more so recently, I've been using it more so just for photos. I tend to use the pano option. The pano option allows you to do about, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 different options. First option is to do what they call a wide screen, to do a larger photo. It does 3 by 3, so it takes 3 up, 3 middle, 3 down, combines them into, so it actually does the stitching itself. So you don't need to do anything. You just basically press the record button. It'll do the photos, and then it'll come back with the photo on the screen and then ask you whether you want to keep it or not. It's up to you then whether you store it to your phone. I found also that with because I tend to hold it up a little bit higher, I had to make sure that I had the gimbal fairly straight. It's the same as a normal wide lens. When you point the lens slightly up or down, it'll actually distort the photo, so it'll either curve in or curve out depending upon which way you're holding. So it's a distortion process. But I'm still happy with that because I can still muck around with it. I do it with my own cameras anyway, so I don't have a problem with that. But it's just something that I had to think of. I've been using the selfie stick. There's a little selfie stick. I'll just show you in here. Selfie stick is quite good. I enjoyed using it. I'm just going to turn this off because it keeps turning on naturally enough when you open it up. So it just automatically turns on. So I just turned it off. But there's a selfie stick in there. So it basically extends that far. I mean, it's not a huge extension, but I'll generally sort of hold it up high above my head so that I can get above reeds or whatever that I'm trying to get closer to the shore. It also has a foldable end. So it can be used as a selfie, which I did, photo, so I can actually use it as a selfie stick as well. So I've thought that was quite a good idea. The other thing it does have, so I'm just putting that back, is the tripod. There's a tripod, little tripod in the base of it. You pull that out, make sure that it's out properly, because these parts here, there's a three legs, they lock in so that you can't spread them until they're pulled right out. And it actually has little legs as well, so that you can put them, you know, on a table flat or reasonably flat. To put it back, you're just basically pushing them back in. You've got to make sure that you push these back in, because they've got little locking, sorry, you've got to make sure that you close the legs before you've completely pushed the extended legs in, only because of the fact that it's got a little hook in them, and it hooks them back together, and then you can just close it up. So that's basically it. It just sits there and goes around. The light function, which I got, connects onto the USB-C here, and then clamps onto the back. There's a little notch in the clamp. I'm not sure whether you can see that there. There's a little notch on there, and then it basically clamps onto that. A little clamp you just push together and push it on. So that turns the light on. It's got a cool light, a warm light, and has varying degrees of light as well. You can also run or power your phone from it by putting it into this one, and then plugging it into the phone. I wouldn't use that myself, but it's an option that you can use. So yeah, and it's easy to fold. You fold it back, and it folds back into itself. I generally keep that on the phone, so it doesn't sit on the thing in your pocket. It does go in my pocket. I know it looks pretty big. Well, not pretty big, but it's not something that you've got to have a pocket to put it into. But it's not that big, so it can be easily stowed somewhere that you can take with you, rather than taking a large camera or even anything else. Okay, now I'm just going to talk about a few of the settings that I've really had fun with. The Pano one is the best one that I've been using. It actually has 4 different options. Pano being the first one, being a wide one where it actually takes 3 rows. It's got three rows by 3 columns, and stitches it together. So it just basically creates it. You don't need to do anything, and saves it to the phone. The second one is 240. When you're watching it, it actually goes like that, and then comes back, so it takes that side. So it basically takes right around to a 240 degree. And it also does a 180, which is only just slightly smaller than the 240. So it still sort of seems to go sort of fairly flat both sides, like both around the thing. And again, it stitches. You can actually see it'll actually stop in certain points and take photos. It'll come back. Each of these and each of these photos, it'll actually ask you whether you want to keep it. So you don't have to keep it. You can just get rid of it and try it again. But once you keep it, it'll store on your phone. The last one is actually 360. Again, I've used it. I think it's quite good. I had to run around the camera, or run around with the camera, so that I wouldn't be in the photos. But it worked out well. You know, it's a different way of doing a 360. I've got 360 cameras, so I prefer to use that, but it's an option. The difference being, though, that when it does a 360, it actually copies a smaller size photo, which it stores on your phone, but it gives you the option to actually go through the normal, like Insta software, the Inst360 application. You can actually do an export to then do a reframe, you know, do the tiny world or whatever, or animate it, which I've done a couple of times as well, or export the 360. And when it exports the 360, actually it exports it as a bigger file than the one that it stores on the phone. So I'm not sure why it does that, but I will be asking Insta to look at possibly why the resolution, not the resolution, but the actual file size isn't that large. Like it doesn't seem to be large enough. The other thing I'd like it to do is actually take RAW, give the option of doing RAW files. I know my iPhone 13 Pro does allow me to, in the camera settings, to do a RAW file, and I think that's probably better from my perspective, because that's how I take photos anyway. But anyway, that's just something I'll talk to you about. The next one that I want to talk to you about is the time-lapse. Time-lapse, they've changed the way that time-lapse works to a certain extent. I think it's quite good. I had some fun with this in a storm where I basically started it, but it gives you an option. There's a few options in there. One of the options is actually to do a motion. So actually, when you do a time lapse, you're going to say, well, I can do a 15-minute time lapse, but during that 15 minutes, go from left to right. So it actually does just slowly move. So therefore, your time lapse has that motion feel. I've wanted to do that more so at sunsets and so on. Haven't tried it out in the field yet, but I will do that. I think that's a fantastic option where it actually, basically, you're actually motioning the camera to go around. It doesn't necessarily move from left to right, it just turns. But I think that's quite good. You can do a left to right or right to left, or I can't remember the other one now offhand, but or just have normal time lapse. So I think they're quite good processes. The other one that I've used a couple of times is a widescreen, but I'm not sure whether that's because I've got an iPhone 13 Pro, which has the lenses to enable you to do a 0.5 right up to a 3 zoom, and it uses the 0.5. So it's only still one photo, but it allows it to go the full wide length of the photo. But there you have it. That's my quick guide. It's not about everything on there. I just wanted to talk about those ones because I've used them and I find them quite good. And I've actually enjoyed using the camera, or sorry, the stabilizer or the Flow. It is quite good. I think you'll be impressed with the way that it works, and I'm sure that you'll have some fun using it. Thanks very much. See you later.